Welcome, everyone, to the NewVision OldWays podcast, a greatly ambitious journey of discovery where we can all learn to live better, mentally healthier, and more fulfilling lives. If you're just discovering us, feel free to go back and take the journey from the beginning. And if you're already a NewVision OldWays fan, welcome back and enjoy season
7.
And now, here is your host, Tony Marinaccio.
You are listening to NewVision OldWays, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome, Visionaries, to another great episode of the NewVision OldWays podcast. And this little old podcast that could is celebrating its 2-year anniversary. Yes, 2 years and 67 episodes in, and as I always say, with no signs of slowing down. And we have so much left to explore. It's endless. And as we look around, the world never has a shortage of things we will need to tackle. And tackle them, we will. And of course, I again want to thank you, the listeners, for being there for me and supporting the show and giving your amazing feedback. It means a lot. It has helped me develop ideas that are important to you. And I love knowing that this show seems to touch people in a very positive way. It's what keeps me going. It's what makes me right until I can't see anymore sometimes. And trust me, it has happened that way many times. It's why I do this, to get that connection we have in the Visioneer community. And I love it. And I hope you do as well. And that leads me to what I will be talking about today. This will be a very personal episode that I truly believe that many, if not most of you, will identify with in some way or another. It's an episode that will bring you from your unrealized dream idea to making it a big and natural part of your identity. You can build your new vision no matter what stage of life you are in, no matter what is happening around you. It can be done. And in this episode, I'll use myself as the example. I want to give you not only the motivation to do this, but the confidence that you need to make it a success. And you may only be dreaming about it right now, and life can throw you curveballs, but those curveballs can be great things. Trust me, they are not all bad. It's how you handle the curveballs that count. And I think you know what is coming next. Yep, you got it. There is no time better than right now to start building your new vision by starting episode 67, From Idea to Identity, Building Your New Vision.
Dreams without goals are just dreams.
Come on.
And ultimately, they fuel disappointment.
Exactly.
On the road to achieving your dreams, you must apply discipline, but more importantly, consistency. Because without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish.
And that advice, that simple advice from Denzel Washington, is so unbelievably important because a little over 2 years ago, NewVision OldWays did not exist. There was no microphone sitting in front of me. There were no episodes recorded, no audience waiting to listen. There was no structure, no roadmap, no clear indication that any of this would turn into something meaningful. There was just an idea, a very quiet, unassuming, sitting there with me on the couch idea. And if I'm being completely honest, it wasn't even some grand, polished vision of what this would become. It was more of a feeling than anything else, a sense that something in the world didn't sit right, that the pace, the noise, the constant pull in every direction was doing something to people. Something subtle, but powerful. It felt like clarity was slipping away, like people were becoming overwhelmed, reactive, and disconnected from themselves without even realizing it. Everywhere I looked, there was chaos, not always the obvious kind, but a quieter, more dangerous version of it. Endless opinions, endless arguments, endless distractions, people talking louder but saying less. People reacting instantly, but thinking less deeply. And somewhere in the middle of all that, something important was being lost. Focus, discipline, independent thought, the ability to step back, observe, and actually understand what's going on instead of just being swept up in it. And I remember sitting there thinking, there has to be another way to look at all of this. Not in a more extreme way, but clearer, more grounded, more intentional. That's where NewVision OldWays was born. Not as a brand, not as a business, but as a response to the insanity, a response to the confusion, a response to the feeling that people were drifting further away from something essential. But here's the part nobody really likes to talk about when it comes to ideas. Ideas are easy. Everybody has them. You've had them. The business you thought about starting, the book you considered writing, and we will get to more of that later on, the podcast that crossed your mind, and the life change you told yourself you'd make someday. Those moments where something clicks in your mind, where you feel that spark of possibility. We all experience that, but most of those ideas never become anything more. They stay right there, exactly where they started, on the couch, in the car, in your head, not because they weren't good enough, not because they don't have potential, but because they never move beyond the initial moment of inspiration. Because the truth is, turning an idea into something real, that's where the friction begins. That's where doubt shows up. That's where resistance kicks in. That's where life starts to whisper all the reasons why now isn't the right time. You're too busy. You don't know enough. What if it doesn't work? What if no one listens? What if it's not as good as you think it is? And for most people, that's where the story ends. Not with actual failure, but with inaction, with hesitation, with waiting for a perfect moment that never actually comes. What I've learned over these last 2 years is that the difference between a dream and an identity isn't just talent, and it's not even just opportunity, it's action. Repeated, imperfect, sometimes uncomfortable action. There was no perfect setup when I started this. No studio, no high-end equipment, no guarantee that anyone would even hear what I had to say. There was just a willingness to learn, to figure things out as I went, to press record even when I wasn't completely confident in what I was about to say. And that's the part that people tend to overlook. They think confidence comes first, that clarity comes first, that you somehow need to feel fully prepared before you begin. But that's not always how it works. Confidence is built through action. Clarity is sharpened through experience. Both are earned, not given. And in the world we live in today, this becomes even more important because it has never been easier to stay stuck. Believe me, I know we can stay stuck. We live in a time where you can consume endless amounts of content, motivation, advice, and inspiration without ever actually doing anything with it. You can scroll for hours, watch videos, listen to podcasts, read articles, and feel like you're moving forward when in reality, you haven't even taken a single step. You could feel productive without building anything real. You could feel inspired without ever applying that inspiration. And over time, that creates a dangerous illusion, one where you believe you're progressing, but you're actually just standing still. And believe me, I know all of this too well. I had no idea how to get a podcast out there. I had no idea how any of it worked. But slowly, I started to learn. The more I learned, the more I thought, hey, this is actually doable. But I was honest with myself. I wanted to be creative, and I wanted my creative side to have an outlet. And the podcast was the jumping off point. The podcast then led to the website, which again, I had to learn that from scratch as well. I built the website, NewVisionOldWays.com, to include not only the episodes, but my blog page, and now, coming soon, a page where I could further express myself through my own music. It may be simple music, it may not be that great, or maybe it will, who knows, but it will be mine. And it all started with one basic idea, the podcast. And the truth is, you don't need perfect conditions to start. You don't need everything mapped out. You don't need permission from anyone. What you need is movement. You need to take that first step, however small, however imperfect it might be. Because once you do, something shifts. Believe me, it really happens. That idea you've been holding on to, it starts to evolve. It starts to take shape. It becomes more clear, more defined, and slowly, almost without you realizing it, it begins to integrate into who you are. That is so important. That's where the real transformation happens. There comes a point where you're no longer just thinking about doing something, you're actually doing it. You're no longer someone who talks about starting a podcast, you're a podcaster. You're no longer someone who wants to write, you're a writer. You're no longer just imagining a different path, you're actually building one. And that shift from idea to identity, that's where everything changes. Because once something becomes part of your identity, you don't question whether or not you should continue, you simply do. It becomes embedded in your routine, your mindset, your way of operating. And that is exactly what happened to me. I love everything about what you're hearing. Each episode is fully written by me. Each subject matter is researched by me. I have written in the morning before I go to my, and yes, I have one, very full-time job. I have written while I am taking a break at work. I have written after pulling over in my car just to get the idea down before I lose it. The point is, once the valve is opened, it flows out of you. It's almost impossible to stop.
Why did you go become a Navy SEAL? That's a ridiculous thing to do, right? They just torture you to death in the water. Why'd you do it?
Because I wanted to serve my country in the highest capacity possible.
How did that change you? Do you feel that you accomplished something real when you went through the Navy SEAL training program?
Absolutely.
Okay, why was it real?
It was the hardest thing that I've done.
Right. That's right. Yeah, was it meaningful?
Absolutely.
Was it transformative?
Yes.
And it was the hardest thing you'd ever done. Okay, well that's the pathway. The pathway to what's most real is through the hardest things that you can do.
Now, of course, I have been completely disregarding some very big points here. We all live different lives. We all have circumstances that, other than myself, I would have no idea what you're going through in life. But I have mentioned these things in passing along the way, but besides always working my butt off, so to not depend on anyone, I have seen my share of tough times. I watched my mother die a slow death from cancer when I was 16 until her passing when I was 19. 3 years later, my father became paralyzed from the waist down, so upon graduating from college, I had to take care of him by myself for the next 8 years, essentially my entire 20s. Then, right into taking care of an instant family for 18 years. You may have even more difficult circumstances, but when I look back at all of that, I never gave myself a chance to even explore the possibility that I could have expressed myself in a creative way. So I did what most people do. I pushed my dreams aside. I just figured, well, this is my lot in life, so be it, I guess. Sound familiar? And this isn't just about me. This is about you. Because whatever that idea is that's been sitting in the back of your mind, it's still there. It hasn't gone away. Maybe you've pushed it aside. Maybe you've told yourself you'll get to it eventually, but it's waiting. Not for the perfect time, not for the perfect conditions, but for a decision to stop thinking about it and start moving forward towards it. And it takes courage, believe me. It takes knowing that you might not be going out with friends, every once in a while. It takes knowing that people may not understand what you are doing or why you are doing it. And you know what? That lack of support, it can hurt, but it will probably happen and you will have to face it at some point. And in a world that feels increasingly chaotic, this might actually be your greatest advantage. Clarity. Because clarity is becoming rare. Discipline is becoming rare. The ability to think independently, to focus, to build something meaningful without being constantly distracted. That's becoming rare. And when something becomes rare, it becomes valuable. And if you could develop those qualities, if you could train yourself to cut through the noise and stay committed to building something over time, you don't just survive in this environment, you separate yourself from it.
And now, Visioneers, let's take a quick break to let you know how you can support the show. by clicking on the Patreon donate link in the show notes or by typing in patreon.com/NewVisionOldWays or at the NewVisionOldWays.com website. You can show your support by donating directly to the New Vision Old Ways podcast. These episodes take time and money to produce, and by donating what you are able to, it will allow us to grow the show and give you the best content that we can. Of course, you can cancel at any time. Remember, click on the Patreon donate link in the show notes or by typing in patreon.com/NewVisionOldWays or at the NewVisionOldWays.com website. Hint, you are able to donate a one-time lump sum. Then, cancel right after. Options are always a good thing. Thank you, and now, back to the show.
What started as a simple idea on a couch has now turned into something real. A podcast, a platform, a place where ideas are explored, challenged, and refined. A place that pushes back against the noise instead of contributing to it. And this is just the beginning, because this isn't where it stops. This continues to grow into a deeper body of work, into a more expansive platform, into something that reaches beyond just audio, a website, a blog, and yes, eventually a book. Not because everything went perfectly along the way, but because I didn't stop, because I stayed consistent, because I kept building, even when progress felt slow, and believe me, it did. Even when it wasn't perfect, and believe me, it wasn't. I mentioned a book in passing there. What I am talking about, well, I have decided to move forward with a dream of dreams for me, to write a book. Right now, it's just an outline, but it's real, and it's evolving. But I'm hoping by the first quarter of 2027, it will actually be out there. And I decided to mention it now because I am holding myself accountable to that dream. And Visioneers, I want you to hold me accountable as well. Some may look at this as a dangerous and possibly embarrassing way to go about it, but I seem to do my best work when my back is against the wall. So I am putting it out there. Might as well jump on the high wire and start walking across. With your encouragement, I know I will get it done. And not only will I get it done, but a book that will actually help people in a world that wants us to stay down. I want all of us to excel, to succeed, to flourish. And I know this will not just be another empty self-help book. It will be a go-to life guide. So if you're listening to this right now and you've got that idea, that thought that keeps coming back, that sense that you're meant to build something more, understand this clearly. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to wait until you feel 100% ready. You just need to begin. Because 2 years from now, like me, you won't be sitting there wondering, what if? You'll be looking at something real, something tangible, something that started exactly where you are right now. And that's what this is really about. It was never just about starting a podcast. It's about perspective. It's about discipline. It's about choosing to build something meaningful in a world that constantly tries to pull you in the opposite direction. It's about taking control of your direction instead of drifting with the current. This is your new vision. And if the last 2 years have proven anything to me, it's that we're just getting started. So now, let's turn to what I like to call Tony's Guide to Busting Through the Mind Block Traps. So, why then do many people feel like they have failed, or worse, never really got started? Why can something that means so much to them never see the light of day? Why does failing seem so easy? Well, if we're being honest, most people don't fail to build something because they lack the ability. They fail because of something far less visible, but far more powerful: mind blocks. These internal barriers that don't announce themselves as fear or limitation, but instead distinguish themselves or disguise themselves as logic, as caution, as being realistic. They don't feel like obstacles. They feel like reasons. And that's what makes them so dangerous, because a mind block doesn't necessarily say you can't do this. It says now's not the right time. You need to learn more first. What if you put this out there and it's not really good enough? It says other people are already doing this better than you. Or what if my friends and family think I'm nuts for trying this? And before you know it, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and that idea that once felt alive starts to fade. Not because it lost potential, but because it was slowly suffocated by hesitation. So let's talk about the traps we can easily fall into. And one of the biggest mind blocks people face is the illusion of the perfection trap. The belief that before you begin, everything has to be aligned. That you need the right setup, the right knowledge, the right timing. But what I've learned through building this podcast and website is that perfection isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct. It shows up after repetition, after trial and error, after putting something out there, adjusting, refining, and doing it again. And if I had waited until everything felt perfect, this podcast would not exist, not even close. And another powerful mind block is the fear of judgment trap. And this one runs deep because it's not just about strangers. It's about people you know. It's about wondering what others will think if you step outside the norm, if you try something different, if you actually go for something. And that fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever has. But here's the truth. People will always have opinions, whether you do something or not. So the real question becomes, are you going to build your life around their reactions or your own potential? And let me ask you that again. Are you going to build your life around their reactions or your potential? Because let's face it, as much as we love our family and friends, and I cannot say this strongly enough, I have been extremely blessed with great people in my life, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. But as much as you would want each person in your life to fully support and love what you are doing, they may not for various reasons. They may not understand at all, and that's okay. They don't have to. If it feels right to you, then hopefully they will come along for the ride and cheer you on. If they don't, well, that's disappointing, of course, but your dream is just that, your dream. No one else can take that from you unless you let them. It's all up to you. Then there's the comparison trap. In today's world, you can instantly see someone who is 10 steps ahead of where you are right now. Someone more polished, more experienced, more established. And if you're not careful, that comparison becomes paralysis. You start measuring your beginning against someone else's middle or even their peak, and it convinces you that you're already behind. But what you didn't see is their starting point. You don't see their early struggles, the awkward beginnings, the uncertainty they push through. And that distorted perspective becomes another excuse not to begin. Your journey is exclusively yours. Theirs is, well, you guessed it, theirs. You can learn from them, and that is a wonderful thing to do if you can, but stay focused on your journey, on your path. There really isn't a lot of skipping over to instant success. It's the journey, it's the work, it's the small successes along the way that builds a solid foundation. One that, if you do fall along the way, you won't fall far because that foundation caught you. And that is so important. And maybe the most subtle mind block of all is the comfort trap. Not obvious comfort, but disguised comfort. The kind that tells you it's okay to stay where you are because it's familiar, predictable, safe, even if it's unfulfilling, even if you know deep down you're capable of more, because stepping into something new, even something exciting, comes with uncertainty. And the mind, by default, resists uncertainty. It prefers the known discomfort over unknown possibility. But here's the turning point, and this is something I've come to understand more clearly over the last couple of years especially. You don't eliminate mind blocks before you start. You expose them by starting and dealing with them. But every mind block you bust through builds your confidence to new, higher levels. And before long, you are so strong and confident that it feels like nothing can stand in your way. And it is all created by action. And remember, action doesn't come after confidence. Action creates confidence. And more importantly, action reveals the truth. It shows you that the fear wasn't as powerful as it felt. It shows you that you're capable of figuring things out. It shows you that progress is possible, even if it's slow. Every time you move forward, even in a small way, you chip away at those mental barriers. You weaken them. You prove them wrong, not with words, but with evidence. And that's exactly what this journey has been for me. Not the absence of doubt, but the decision to move away from it. Not perfect execution, but with consistent effort. Not having everything figured out, but refusing to stay stuck. And over time, something shifts. Those same blocks that once stopped you become things you recognize and bust through without hesitation. But how an idea becomes something real is just that. Not in the moment, but in the series of decisions to keep going, despite the internal resistance. So when you think about your own life, your own ideas, your own vision, understand this. The biggest obstacle in front of you isn't external. It's internal. But the moment you decide to act anyway, that's the moment everything starts to change.
I was playing a game with my 9-year-old son, John Leslie, and I beat him 10 straight games in a game called Connect 4. And finally, I said, John Leslie, I'm bored. I don't want to play you anymore. And I got up. I said, I'm ready to go to sleep now. John Leslie said, no, you can't go now, Dad. I said, why? He said, it's not over until I win. That was his attitude. John Leslie won, and he got up and he yawned, and he said, I'm ready to go to sleep now. And I'm saying to you, what if all of us took that attitude after we face a rejection and a no, or we have a meeting and no one shows up? Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day, and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
So here is my challenge to you. Use the techniques we have discussed in previous episodes, many of the episodes, like mindful meditation, the practice of purposely focusing attention on the present moment, thoughts, sensations, and feelings without judgment or attachment. Listen to your inner voice. That's so important. It will tell you what is the most important dream you have, and then take steps, no matter how small they are, and get on the path to making it become a reality. What may surprise you is where the path takes you. It may not be what you first envisioned, and that is okay. It may be better than anything you thought possible, but it all starts with those first few steps and a willingness to keep going. And be flexible enough to change that path a bit if you need to. The point is, make the journey fun. Here's what's really important too. Love what you don't know. I'll say that again. Love what you don't know. Then love what you find out along the way. Love the journey, because there have been so many people in this world that never got a chance to have that dream journey that you are having right now. So appreciate it. Keep moving, keep learning, make that dream a reality. And for me, I still have no idea where this podcast, where my blog, where my music, and eventually will go, where a book can take all of this. But I know at least one thing. I am following my heart. And in the end, if I do something along the way that helped people, that made someone's day better, maybe even changed their life in a positive way, then it will all have been worth it to me. And also to me, that is what success will be. Because I wish I had someone along the way that spoke openly about what I talk about on this show. The ideas and concepts that I discuss are things I know would have helped me many years ago at many points in my life. But I had to find them all out by myself, hence NewVision OldWays. And this is my way of getting all of this out there in a way that any of you listeners can then apply to your own lives and do your own research to magnify the concepts so that you get the maximum potential from each of them. So Visioneers, this is your time to shine. Forget the chaos out there. Fight through the agenda media and the social media and let them know you will not be bought, sold, or manipulated. You are too strong. Don't fall for any of it. We are too good for that, and you do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Focus on your dream. Be positive, even when the world tries to beat you up with negativity. This is the real rebellion, and no one talks about it. The one where we succeed, even when they want you to believe that you are not good enough. If you want revenge, this is the best revenge. It's happiness. It's success. While the resistors wallow in their own sorrow and hate. So be that rebel. Follow your dream. It's all there waiting for you. So go get it. And remember, in a world that wants you distracted, the real rebellion is focus. In a world that wants you doubtful, the real rebellion is belief. In a world that wants you passive, the real rebellion is building something real. So build that new vision and see the world in a completely different way. And once you do, you will never want to stay blind to the possibilities ever again.
So, what did you think of this episode or any of the episodes? We would love to find out. And here is where to get a hold of the show and let us know. These are in the show notes, but as always, here they are. There is a Patreon support link in the show notes and on the NewVisionOldWays.com website that you can click on that will allow you to donate to the show and show your support. By donating what you can, it will allow us to book guests and cover costs. Anything will help. Cancel anytime. You can also message the show from each episode on your various platforms. Just look for the Send Us a Text Message link. If that doesn't work for you, you can email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. You can find us on what was Twitter, now X, at NewVisionOldWay, no S on that one. Check the New Vision Old Ways YouTube channel. Type in New Vision, one word, Old Ways, one word, channel, and please subscribe. It is free and will show support for the show. It really means a lot and will help grow the show on YouTube. Find us on Facebook, New Vision Old Ways, podcast you should easily find us. And as a reminder, these are still growing platforms for us and expanding all the time, so we need your help to get the flow going with the community. And last but not least, if you can do me a huge favor and subscribe to us, like us, follow us, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on. That would be so appreciated. That will also help secure guests that we will be booking in the future. So, here we are, Season 7. We have a lot to cover, so thank you for listening. We can't wait to get your input, and I also can't wait until we get together for the next episode of New Vision Old Ways. Until then, stay true to yourself, stay informed, and stay empowered.
But the most important thing is...
This episode and all the episodes of New Vision Old Ways podcast have been written, engineered, and produced by Tony Marinaccio and TKM Productions.